Welcome back to Maker's Journey Workshop. I'm Benjamin Davies, and today we're going to make a monkey tool to address square tenons. If you tuned into yesterday's video, we introduced how to make a round tenon, and we showed you this old school monkey tool I had with this massive hole in the backside. Today, the way we're going to make our monkey tool is we've got a 1/2 inch plate that's 1.75 by 1.75, and we've got a 1.5 inch square tubing. This is the same square tubing that we've used for our Infinity Hardy tool and our guillotine tool. So if you'll notice the theme here, I'm just working off a scrap off my back rack. Be creative at home. If you don't have this tube, don't go out and order something special if you don't need to. Weld up, fab up, be creative. Look for the easiest workaround. We're not looking to make beautiful tools, we're looking to make beautiful things. And the way that you do that is make a functional tool. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Beautiful tools are nice, functional tools are great. All right, let's get after it. All right, y'all, we're getting ready to drill this, and I like to go in progressions. If you've got a way that works for you, great. But when I started out, I didn't have a great set of bits, and so I've learned just progressing my bits as I go up helps me to cut a clean hole without having to wrestle the bit too much. I usually go like 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8, and today that's what we're gonna go up to. We're gonna go up to 3/8 on this. But we're not using your traditional milling vise, something you'd use to lock this in here. And this is something I came up with just a few weeks ago. We got pretty busy, and I didn't want to take the time to clean up that mill vise that had just a little bit of surface rust on it and prevented it from sliding back and forth. What do you mean you've been pretty busy? Well, we're right in the middle of our 30 for 30. If you want to know more about it and a little bit into our history of how we got to running a full-time blacksmith business, check out this video right here when you get done with this one. The short version is we're making 30 videos in 30 days. We're trying to bring as much value and information to you as possible, especially someone like you who might be starting their blacksmith career and wanting to get into figuring out how to sell some things. Smalls are a great way to start out. So if you find that interesting and you're enjoying our videos, smash that subscribe button and be sure to share this with someone you think would enjoy it. All right, thank y'all for being here, and let's get back to our show. And so the great thing about this is you can kind of make them work however you want. It doesn't prevent the piece from coming up. You can always slide another piece over top if you want to, but especially for square or rectangular things, it locks it in there, and that way you're not having to wrestle it. Just something to think about. This hack's worked pretty well for me, and I've gone back to it several times since. For this next bit, you're going to want a way to set up your drift to go through that whole square. You want a parallel side to the edges. You don't want to just kind of put it wherever it goes, because we want to line it up to the tube that we're going to weld it to, and that way you know how you're coming in as you rotate your tool. So here's a little tip and trick that I learned years ago that really helps set you up nice whenever you're setting a square drift. We're going to go ahead and cheat a little bit. And the way that we're going to do that is I have this square center punch. And this one's actually forged out of S7. If you'll see the butt head on it. I bought these in the meat years ago. They were selling them. They were just S7 dies. They were punch dies that I was able to forge down and make into other things. Love S7, one of my favorites. And so it's going to have some sharp edges on it too. And as I go through the hole and line that up, I'm going to be able to put some edges on the inside of that hole that my drift will grab onto. Nope, we don't have our drift yet. We're going to center punch this, and then we're going to make our drift. So you can see where that kind of bites in, and that's going to help. Now, we drilled this, and we're going to drift it. You could have just made a square punch and punched it. I don't have a square punch, which means I was going to have to make the tool, make the heat treat, and oftentimes the biggest factor that goes into me making something that I just need quick and dirty for the shop that's going to be functional is how quick can I make it? Time. And so that's why I don't get too hung up on making the most beautiful tools, or sometimes if I can cheat and use a drill press and that makes my life quicker, I'm doing that. I'm sitting here, and time's such a huge factor. So we're going to make our little drift, get this guy heated up, and go from there. Again, I talked about this earlier in the video. This is a 1/2 inch thick plate. You want something a little bit more robust. You don't want to use a 1/4 inch. If that's all you got laying around, stack it or something. Figure it out, and that way you can continue to use this. Yes, it's mild steel. Mild steel for Monkey Tools works all day long. All right, let's get after it. We got it all forged up. And if you'll notice on that last little bit, and that's just a tip and trick I learned years ago. If you're doing a slot punch, that helps you kind of creep into that slot punch and orient your drift in the way that you want it to go, especially when you're doing any kind of tenon that's not going to be round. If it's round, it doesn't really matter which way it enters in because you're going for a round hole. But if you're doing a square, oblong, oval, whatever kind of tenon, it's really important that you line that up so it is oriented how you want it specifically. After I got done forging it, I just dunk it in the water. I'm gonna clean it up real quick at the grinder. I didn't even check to see how big my bulge is. I'm not worried. I think it's gonna be plenty. And we're gonna go to it. You do enough of these, you can kind of tell. And I always err on putting too much in, and that way I can take some off with the grinder. The reason we put that bulge in is because you're gonna punch this through your hole, and as this piece of metal cools, it's going to contract. So you wanna make sure that you're forging in some compensation. So if we put in a perfectly square 1/2 inch hole, well, it's gonna shrink down and it'll be somewhere between 7/16 and a 1/2 inch. And that's not gonna work well for what we want to do. So really important when you're going into your forging. So I'm gonna go ahead and shove this guy in the fire. We're gonna clean this guy up at the forge. I mix my words up all the time. I'm gonna go ahead and shove this guy in the fire, which is the forge. We're gonna clean this guy up at the grinder. So we got it all cleaned up. Not looking for fancy cleanup, mainly just knocking off scale. You can wire brush it if you want to. One of the things that we didn't address that we did do on this was I kind of chamfered the corners a little bit. And the reason I do that is because sometimes it wants to grab on and create some tears. You want smooth lines. Even if they're square, you want it to be smooth. You want the corners crisp, but you don't want it biting in or tearing. So we're all ready. Our metal should be warm and we're ready to drift it through. All right, we're just about done with this. I'm gonna take this guy and I'm gonna clean it up at the grinder. And we're actually gonna stick a file in there and kind of chamfer those corners just a little bit. Just, you don't want to create anything that's going to cut into your metal and create little sharp edges, because you have to chase them and those cracks will run and they're just going to create problems. So you actually want to round these edges a little bit, and that way it is forgiving to your metal. And we're going to clean this guy up too. The welder, in case you don't know, it loves clean metal. The cleaner the better, no matter what you're doing. Some are more persnickety than others, but it's never a bad idea to clean up your metal. Another tip for making that little welder over exceed its rated performance: we're going to tack this together, and then I'm going to stick this in the forge just to get some heat into it. When this thing gets hot, it's just going to penetrate that much better, and it's going to give you an advantage using a smaller welder. Stop it! I can feel you racing off to the comments right now. Don't be that guy. You don't, trust me. I'm going to address it. Calm down. So with files only cut one way. On these files, they cut from the push. If you drag them back, you're just doling your file over time. But in little holes like that where it's hard to get around, it's going to be hard not to get some drag back. If you're not somebody that uses a file every day, there are some brilliant smiths out there that do all kinds of file work. I hate white work. This is what they call white work. It is where you're working the metal cold. Blacksmith, oxidized metal, forging. White smith, working the metal cold. I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Do not enjoy it. Least favorite thing to do. That's not why I'm not a knife maker or anything like that. I do not want to sit at a grinder. I want to heat and beat and watch that thing transform underneath my hammer and find somebody else to polish it and walk away. That's my ideal forging day. So take care of your files. If you can help and avoid it, don't be dragging them back, because you're just going to dull and wear them out over time. Yes, you can dull your files. Yes, files are only meant to cut one way. And yes, mine's getting drugged back a little bit there because I'm clumsy and clunky and have a hard time fitting in that small hole. All right, let's finish up. All right, so we got this guy welded up, just tacked on really. And we went ahead and give it a good wire brush, because you'll get this milky powder on there. That is the flux. That's what protects the weld and keeps it clean as you weld it when you're using a flux core welder. Same kind of concept as a stick welder. That's why you don't need gas for it. It's got some built-in stuff to protect your welding area and keep it clean, some shielding. I'm gonna stick this in the forge. I'm gonna make sure to rotate it. I don't want it super, super hot. I don't want it cherry. But we're gonna heat it up, and that's really gonna help us penetrate. You should be able to notice a big difference if you've got any kind of welding time under your belt, just about how much better your little welder is gonna like this heated up metal. And that's all there is to it. If you want, you can go back through and make this the same shape as your pipe. A lot of people do that. Nothing wrong with that. But for me, I'm gonna leave it unless I notice an obstruction. Again, sorry, my glasses are fogging up. Glasses are fogging up, but it's good to have safety glasses on when you've got metal as it's cooling that close to your face, because the scale is just popping. So keep that in mind. And as it pops, it explodes out. It's just little things, and they'll hit your skin, but it's not good. I'm gonna go ahead and toss this. Cool. If you got this far and you don't know what a monkey tool is or how we use it, two things got you covered. You can go check out this video right here. If you don't even know what a monkey tool's for and you've watched this far, thanks for watching. That's one we did yesterday, and it shows you how to establish a shoulder on a round tenon with a monkey tool that we just made with a drill. For the round ones, you can make them with a drill and just go really quick out of a solid piece of steel. For this one, it's a nice workaround. The thicker the pipe you can get, the better. So if you can get a hold of some Schedule 80, something with some really thick walls, man, keep that around. It's going to be really handy for making tools in the future. That guy's going to be pretty ample for what we're doing here. We will be using that tool later this week. Get home, practice if you've been keeping up and following along and trying to do some more videos. I've seen some people posting on Instagram at BD Iron, which is our main page. Some of the projects, I think it's awesome. And I've been hearing back from a lot of y'all. Thank y'all so much for those who reach out to us. I get a couple days behind on comments as well. It's not that I don't enjoy them or I don't appreciate them, but this 30 for 30 is kicking my tail. And I'm trying to make sure that I deliver value every day for y'all by bringing you a video. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank y'all for being here.